Good morning, children. Sairam, welcome to this session. Today we are going to continue with the first lesson, Heredity and Evolution. We started with the revision of heredity. We have completed in the first part. Now let us see what is meant by evolution. Okay. Evolution is a gradual change occurring in our living organism over a long duration. Okay, it is not a sudden change. Over a long duration, the changes occur. That is called as evolution. It is a very slow ongoing process through which the development of organisms is achieved. Some evidences prove that we have evolved from our ancestors. I know you have done your exams also well. You have written about the vestigial organs. That is one of the evidence of our evolution. So we'll see some of the evidences. What are the evidences we have learned? Morphological evidence, anatomical evidences, vestigial organ, paleontological evidences, connecting links, and embryological evidences. This we have already revised thrice. Morphological means by the appearance. Okay, because some of the animals they look similar because this shows that they had a common ancestor. Anatomical means though the structure looks different, the bony inside the bone structure, but they have different functions. Some of the organs have different functions, but their bony structure inside will be the similar. This shows that we have evolved from our ancestors. Vestigial organs you have written, they are the degenerated organs which are present in our body which is not useful for our body now. Okay. Paleontological means study of fossils. Connecting link, they show some of the organisms show link between two groups like Annelida, Arthropoda, reptiles and Mammalia. Like that we have learned about the lungfish, peripatus. All those you just go through that textbook properly. Embryological, this also in the initial stage. Most of the vertebrates, the chordates, they look similar. Okay. In the early embryological stage, they all look similar. The diagram is given in your book. You can go through. All these are very easy. So I'm just giving just a hint of it. I know you all have you are thorough with this portion. But we are starting from the first lesson. So I'm just revising this part. Okay. Now, what is little difficult is all Darwin's theory, Lamarckism, and what is the other one? Human evolution is little bit difficult than the evidences. Evidences are very simple and clear. I think when you read the textbook, you will know much better. Okay. So every point is there. You have to learn. That can come for any 2 marks question also. Now, what is I will explain again Darwin's theory, Lamarckism, and human evolution once again. Okay. What is Darwin's theory? This explains the nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live and the rest will perish. So those who can survive in the environment only will live, others all will perish. So he had published a book called Origin of Species. While explaining the concept, Darwin says that all the organisms reproduce profitably, but all the organisms compete with each other in a life. So they all compete with each other so to survive in a life threatening manner. In this competition, only those organisms sustain which show the modification essential for winning the competition. So all will not survive. Those who can adjust to the environment. Okay. Suppose you have taken and you have one of the small child is put into the very cold region until it is surviving. It is able to survive. It will live. If it is not able to adjust to the environment, that organism or any human being, anything will not live. So he says that all will reproduce, but those who can adjust to those who can adjust those who can adjust to the environment will live, all rest will perish. However, besides this, natural selection plays important role because nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live and rest will perish. This I told you. Okay. Sustaining and selected organism can perform reproduction and thereby give rise to new species with their own specific character. So only those who are surviving, will reproduce and they give new species. All others which are not able to adjust to the environment, they will perish. This is Darwin's theory. But Darwin's theory had some objectives, okay? But it was widely accepted only after a long duration, and some objectives were raised against this theory. It was not accepted because of these 3 points. Natural selection is not the only factor responsible for evolution. Darwin did not mention any explanation about useful and useless modification, and there is no explanation about slow and abrupt changes. Due to these three, learn these three. What are the objectives that is raised against Darwin's theory? It can come. So you have to learn these three. This is for Darwin's theory, which was because of this three, it was not accepted later. Then came the Lamarckism. So John Baptist Lamarck proposed that morphological changes occurring in living organisms are responsible for evolution. So what did he tell? That is the morphological, that is with the appearance. Morphological means by the appearance, look. Morphological changes occurring in living organism are responsible for evolution, and the reason behind those morphological changes is activities or laziness of the organism. If you don't use an organ for a very long time, it will become useless organ. Okay. He called this concept as principle of use or disuse of organs. So this examples, when you read, you will understand. So what did he tell? So the morphological changes is that because of the laziness or activeness of an organism. If you don't use an organ, or if you use an organ for a long time, it will be in use throughout your life. And if you don't use an organ for a long period, it will become a disused organ. Okay. Now this was explained by the giving examples. Giraffe has a long neck because it used to browse on leaves of tall plants by extending their neck for several generations. First example is this. This also you have to tell. What is Lamarckism? This question was not asked last year and previous year. So that you can expect this question in 3 marks also. Explain Lamarckism by giving examples. Okay. Then you can write shoulders of ironsmith are strong due to repetitive hammering movements. Then third example, wings of ostrich and emu are weak because it is not used for flying. So in the one more, legs of birds and swan are used for swimming, are used for swimming because they live in water. So at least 3 examples you learn and keep about Lamarckism. Okay. These characters are termed as acquired characters because they are it is not when they are born, these characters are not there, they are acquired by using it, and it is transferred from one generation to one generation. He told that these acquired characters are also transferred. That is also not correct. This is called as theory of inheritance of acquired characters or Lamarckism. So this was also disproved. Development of organs due to specific activities or their degeneration due to no use at all was widely accepted. This was accepted because when you use an organ for a long time, it is developed. This concept was accepted, but what was not accepted, but transfer of those characters from one generation to another generation was rejected. That was correct, isn't it? So when you do the hammering and you acquire the skill, how can it be transferred to the next generation? That is actually wrong, because it had been verified many times that modification brought in us are not transferred to next generation, and thereby Lamarck's theory also was disproved. So this acquired characters cannot be transferred from one generation to the another generation. So this also was disproved. This is actually very simple. You have to just go through by looking at the size of the question. Don't think it is very hard. It is just very simple answer, which is only the examples and the concept you have to learn. Okay. The living organism can transfer the characters which it has acquired to the next generation. This is called as ancestry of acquired characters. Okay. So the next one, what we are going to learn is the speciation. Formation of new species of plants and animals is the effect. This already I had sent a video. Okay. A species is a group of organisms that can produce fertile individuals through natural reproduction. Each species grows in a specific geographical conditions. Genetic variation is responsible for formation of new species. So if there is variation in the genes, there will be formation of new species. Similarly, geographical and reproductive isolation can also lead to speciation. This I given the video. In that I showed you what is meant by geographical. When it is covered with a barrier, put into a different environment, the growth will be, the speciation will be, isolation can also lead to, it cannot cross multiply or something like that. So it will, when you isolate from the others, they will lead to speciation, that is formation of new species. Okay, then coming to the last part is the human evolution, which I had already explained. I had given a table also that you can refer to the previous video. In this I have explained what is there in the textbook. Okay, the biodiversity that is known today has been said to be formed with a very simple unicellular organism due to evolution. See, this we know, this now previously 2 days back I had sent a video. In that you can see how organisms were formed. First it started with the unicellular organisms, and then the evolution took place to the last dinosaur, then the human being. All these from the smallest unicellular organism, the living organisms evolved. So the last dinosaur appeared approximately 7 crore years ago. At that time, monkey-like animals are said to be evolved from some ancestors who were more or less similar to modern lemurs. They were looking like the modern lemurs, so they monkey-like animals evolved from the ancestors who were more or less similar to the modern lemurs. Tail of these monkey-like animals of Africa are said to be disappeared about 4 crore years ago. So about 4 crore years ago, their tails also disappeared. So slowly they are evolving into a human being. Okay, you can see the figure of it. So most probably this will not be asked in the exam, because this names of it are cancelled this year, it is deleted. But still just go through the figure. This years is not that important this time. Okay, which year, what animals were there, all these were not important. Only learn the concept of evolution. Okay, they developed due to the enlargement of brain. So slowly the brain also started growing. The hands were also improved, and thus ape-like animals were evolved. After this, slowly ape-like animals, tail disappeared, and the brain, enlargement of brain, you can see in the next picture I put the brain, enlargement of brain, and then the ape-like animals were evolved. Meanwhile, these ape-like animals reached the South and the Northeast Asia and finally evolved into gibbon and orangutan. Remaining ape-like animals stayed in, some went to South and Northeast Asia and evolved into, because they are isolated, isn't it? That is only speciation. They are reproductively isolated, and they evolved into gibbon and orangutan. Remaining ape-like animals stayed in Africa, and from them gorilla and chimpanzee evolved about 2.5 crores years ago. Okay, then evolution of some of the 2 crore old species of apes seem to be occurred in different way. They had used their hands more for eating food, and slowly their hands started improving, and they started using the hands for eating and other doing some work. Okay, those apes started to live on land as the forest started to decline due to dry environment. Their lumbar bones developed in such a way that they started to stand in erect posture in grassland, and thereby their hands became available for use anytime. See, slowly their lumbar, that is the backbone, started becoming straight. Because of there was the change in the environment, because of there was decline in the environment, became dry. Slowly they had to evolve, they had to survive. So their lumbar bones started to develop, evolve, and they started becoming straight. Okay, and these first human-like animals with erect posture, which were using their hands, have evolved about 2 crore years ago. The year is not important this year. Just you learn about how the evolution took place. Just you reading you give. Okay. Then the first record of human, like this I had given you some important points. This is that Ramapithecus ape is important. First record like human-like animal is with us in the form of Ramapithecus ape from East Africa. Afterwards, this ape grown up in size and became more intelligent, and thus the ape of South Africa evolved about 40 lakh years ago. Okay. Then the morphology of these human-like animals started to appear like to be the member of the genus Homo about 20 lakh. So it is declining. The number of years is coming nearer and nearer. About 20 lakh years ago, and the skilled human developed. So slowly skilled human started developing. About 15 lakh years ago, human walking with erect posture was evolved. It may have existed in China and Indonesia of East. They're not sure about it. So it may have existed in China and Indonesia of ancient continent. It is mentioned. So up to 15 lakh years ago we have seen. Okay. Evolution of upright man continued in the direction of developing its brain for a period of about 1 lakh years, and meanwhile it discovered the fire. So slowly developed, the brain started developing, the size of the brain also started developing, and slowly they found out, discovered fire. Once you discovered fire, they will have the mind to cook something and eat. Brain of 50,000 year old man had been sufficiently evolved to the extent that it could be considered as member of the class wise man, Homo sapiens. Who is the wise man? It is Homo sapiens. You can see the development of human brain. Okay. So as we develop the brain, the size of the brain also started developing. Okay. Neanderthal man can be considered as the first example of wise man. The Cro-Magnon man evolved from about 50,000 years ago, and afterwards this evolution had been faster than the earlier. About 10,000 years ago, wise men started to practice the agriculture. Once they started practicing agriculture, there a lot of development started taking place, and they started cooking food because they were eating only raw things. Okay, it started to raise the cattle herds and establish the cities. Cultural development took place. Okay, all these are the development taking place. This is the last one. Art of writing was invented about 5,000 years ago, and thus the history had been started. They started writing what all they experienced. They started writing this. Modern sciences emerged about 400 years ago, and industrial society was established about 200 years ago. So from 7 crore it is reducing, it has come to about 200 years ago. What has happened? And now we have reached at this stage, and still we are searching the details of roots of human ancestry. Because we have become intelligent, we are searching for the detail of the human ancestry, how we have evolved. Because man has become very intelligent now, he's searching for the roots. Okay, how man was evolved. All these he started making researches, and we have come to this conclusion. Hope this lesson is very clear, children. This is a very simple lesson. So one by one I will revise in the offline videos, and in the online we will do revision, we will do objective test. All these we will do in the offline session. Hope this lesson is very clear, children. Thank you, children. Take care. God bless you.